Hey guys, welcome to the very first Best Blockchain Awards by SwissBorg in a very first edition. My name's Danny, I'm the Thematics PM. You'll see why I'm here, but today we have Thomas, Head of Growth here at Thematics, who's going to tell you all about the best blockchains and what we're going to do this very evening.
Hello guys, I hope everyone is fine. So this is the first edition of the SwissBorg Awards. So this year's edition 2023 will be focusing on the best blockchain token. So we've been working closely with our investment team to provide you with what we think are the top 11 best blockchain tokens. That's right, Danny?
That's correct. Essentially today, imagine the Oscars if they were for blockchains. That's what we're going to get. We're going to go through the quantitative analysis of each one of those best blockchains and see what we did with them at the very end. So stay tuned. It's about to get going.
So we'll spend approximately 30 minutes together. And Alex will be the first one to explain us what is the difference between a layer 0, a layer 1, and a layer 2. Alex, up to you.
The $1 million question is, what is the difference between a layer 0, 1, and 2 blockchain? And which one should you consider having in your portfolio? Well, the best analogy for a layer 0 blockchain is the one in front of you right now. Land, just like the sand, the soil, the core layer that will support all the infrastructure of tomorrow, which are the layer 1s. Now, is it worth investing in digital land? Well, it all depends on the quality of the land, where you are in the world, and how the economy will develop. And that's why it's very important to have an allocation in the best layer 0 blockchains. Now, moving to the next part. What is a layer 1 blockchain? Well, just as you can see here, on top of the land, we have the digital roads, which represent transactions. But that's not all. We also have the digital infrastructure, where you can build businesses on top. So layer 1 is the core infrastructure for building digital businesses, which we also call decentralized apps or dApps. Now, let's have a look at what a layer 2 is. As you remember previously, we saw some roads that represented the transactions. But when those roads get congested, we have a second plan, a plan B, which is to use side roads or roads on top to ensure that our transactions and speed are faster to arrive at the destination we would like to. And some specific decentralized apps or dApps need that speed, need that throughput in order to have a sustainable business. So now the question is, should I have a layer 0, 1, or 2? Well, the answer is, why not all of them? Because they're all built together. If you find quality land in a country that has promising economic developments, promising GDP, then you definitely want to own the land. But what if the infrastructure is also being built in a country that is thriving? You also want to own the roads, you want to own some of the infrastructure, the property, the real estate, but you also want to own a part of the digital businesses, the dApps, and also the fast roads that work for specific business use cases. And that's why we believe the best blockchains thematic with the layers 0, 1, and 2 is ideal for you. So now that we understand that layers 0, 1, and 2 all provide tremendous value, how do we evaluate these blockchains on a fundamental basis? Well, here are some of the core criteria that SwissBorg looks at in order to choose these blockchains for you. One of the most important parts of any blockchain is to, of course, build a community, but on top of the community, and more importantly for them, is to make sure that they have a number of chains building on top. So if you're the layer 0 digital land, you want digital property on top. And if you're a layer 1 and 2, you want the decentralized apps. So you want the digital businesses building on top. This is one of the most fundamental ways of evaluating a blockchain. The second one is the token utility and economics. This is very important because what if the token, besides governance or a proof of stake model, has no extra utility. That could be an issue, right? How is the token going to ensure that the token will stay at the top and will evolve in terms of market cap over time? The third one is, of course, the number of transactions, which you can measure per day, per month, per year, but also year on year, month on month, day on day. And why? Of course, you have to have usage, because if you don't have usage of the chain, if the dApps don't drive any usage, then the blockchain is not generating revenues. And this is just like opening up a shopping mall with many shops in it in the middle of nowhere with nobody visiting the actual stores and shops. Next criteria is the TVL, the total value locked. How many assets are being used for governance, are being staked on the entire blockchain? This shows a very important metric, which is trusting the actual chain and its dApps with our own money. Another important criteria is the transactions per second and fees. So this is where the layer 2s have a strong advantage on some of the slow layer 1s. You want convenience for the users, and you want it to be usable by all, not just people in the Western countries or developed countries. We want it to be open for all. Then we have the percentage of token supply staked. So out of all the circulating supply, how much percent of this is being staked into proof of stake so that people are actually removing the token from the circulating supply? Another important criteria is benchmarking. So what is the market cap relative to Ethereum, the giant that owns more than half of the entire blockchain market? And then, of course, we have the APY. Are the yields sustainable? Are they going to cut the yields progressively? Are they going to be able to serve this 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, even double-digit yields over time? And that connects to one of the other and last core fundamental metrics, which is what is the inflation rate percentage? Some blockchains are inflationary. So the only reason why they're managing to sustain their yields is that they are printing more tokens constantly or minting them. Some of them have a fixed supply, which is already better. If they can continue to provide sustainable yields, plus they can lock their supply so that it's not inflationary, then that's even better. But some chains are actually deflationary. They're managing to reduce the supply while still providing you with sustainable yields. And that is very attractive. Now, it's important to understand that all of these criteria is purely a fundamental analysis standpoint. But at SwissBorg, with the Best of Blockchains Thematic, we don't only look at fundamentals. We look at quantitative work made by professionals to also understand the behavior of the token itself. And that's a lot more complex, and that's where the investment becomes even more interesting.
Okay, so now we are going to make a deep dive into all projects. We have 11, and we created a fact sheet for all of them. So it's going to be super easy for you to understand what are the USP, what's the ecosystem, and what is the rating we made for each of these tokens. So the very first token for the layer 0 category is the Cosmos, and with Atom. A recent news about Atom is that they've been enabling liquid staking directly onto the Cosmos hub. So you can now stake your Atom and still be able to use your token in DeFi. Danny, you have a word on Cosmos?
Yeah, absolutely. So Cosmos for me is an interesting one. It's got a relatively high TVL. I've got over $1 billion on there. It's really cool because they have something called the inter-blockchain communication layer, which allows them really to communicate between and link different blockchains. Also, above that, I'm a big fan of their token Atom. You can do a lot of things with it. It's really multifunctional. So Cosmos is definitely a great one to have in our list.
So next one is Polkadot, still in the layer 0 category. Polkadot was famous because they had the parachain auction in the last bull run. A recent news about Polkadot is that they finally integrated the native USDC right onto Polkadot. It's good because it means for Polkadot user, it's better liquidity and directly and the chance for more institutions to use the blockchain.
Yeah, so Polkadot for me is really fascinating one. You need to understand the history of crypto to understand Polkadot as well. I think is almost most famous because of its founder, Gavin Wood, who was one of the very first developers, or actually you could argue the lead developer for Ethereum back in 2014. And yeah, a really engaged community. And when you think about layer zero, the first one at least that comes to my mind is Polkadot with the power chains. And yeah, very excited to see where this one goes in the future.
Last one in the layer zero category is Avalanche. Avalanche is well known for its unique snowman consensus mechanism, as well as an active ecosystem with actors like Trader Joe, Bentley, or GMX.
So Thomas, I don't want to sound biased, but I'm personally a huge fan of Avalanche. Technically speaking, I think it's a marvel. And also, well, there was a bit of discussion actually going into this, whether Avalanche was going to be a layer 0 or layer 1. I think you can argue for both sides. The ability, so they have 3 chains on a very high level. That's how it works. One of them is called the P chain or the platform chain. And that one allows you to create subnets. Through that, you could argue it's a layer 0. That's how we place it at the moment, but I'm sure that's going to foster a lot of discussion. Either way, Avalanche is an amazing project, and I couldn't be happier to have it amongst our candidates today.
Looking forward to see all the debate on Twitter. All right, let's go for the layer 1. So with no surprise, the first one we chosen is BTC. BTC, recent cool news, all of that, is that BlackRock applied for an ETF. But maybe the second thing also interesting is to know that Ordinals, which is a new tokens on BTC, has been showing that a new DeFi utility for the Bitcoin network is possible.
Indeed, Thomas. So Ordinals, when you talk about them, that's a new BRC20. That's how it's called. It's this new improvement and functionality layer on Bitcoin. However, I think it's important to understand what Bitcoin really is. And whilst all the proof of stake blockchains out there, such as Ethereum, Avalanche, and all the ones actually we talked about and we're going to talk about, are great for functionality. When it comes to money, at least in my humble opinion, there's only one, and that's Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the ultimate, only true source of money in crypto. Everything else is functionality and could be discussed. Is it a security? Is it not? Bitcoin is not. Bitcoin is the starting point for everything. It's what drives the market. And well, we'll see how the people voted later, but I know that my portfolio is heavily invested in Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's no surprise that we have it in the best blockchain. And basically, the second one also is no surprise because it's Ethereum. So Ethereum, like BTC, is getting quite a traction because a new ETF filing for spot ETF has been filed by ARK Invest as well as 21Share. So who knows when the SEC will give the green light for this ETF, but when this happens, if this happens, probably this will trigger a huge run for this token. What do you think?
Yeah, Tob, I mean, what can we say about Ethereum? When you talk about foundational blockchains, you have Bitcoin on the money side, Ethereum on the functionality side. Some really cool improvements coming into Ethereum in the near future as well. Vitalik calls it the surge. You remember the merge last year? Now we're going to have the surge. The surge is all about dunk sharding. To make it very simple, it will allow you to recuperate blocks even when some or partially some of the validators are Byzantine, which means they're malicious. Anyway, Ethereum keeps going forward. It's by far the most famous proof of staking blockchain, and there's no way that we couldn't have it on the list.
And they have very cool name with their roadmap. So it's something we should consider as well. The next one, I think for me, it's very dear to my heart, is Solana. And Solana, I like it because the community is super strong. Like during the FTX crash, the token was like minus 90%, but still people were still believing in Solana. And the development has been stronger than ever.
Yeah, I mean, if you follow us, you might know how strongly we feel about Solana at SwissBorg. This is, I think, in big part due to our CTO being a big fanboy of Solana, Nicolas. Solana is actually, I've heard it being called probably the Ethereum killer. So you have Bitcoin, that was the original vision of blockchain, Ethereum that added all the functionality, and then you could argue that Solana is almost the final version of what Ethereum could become. It certainly has many technical advantages over Ethereum, and I'm sure our expert panel later on will tell you more about it.
So yeah, you just said that Solana was supposed to be a ETH killer, and the next token, Aptos, was created to be a Solana killer, designed with scalability and security in mind. One cool news about Aptos is that SushiSwap is coming to that new blockchain, and it will be the first time that these famous DEX will be going to a non-EVM chain.
Yeah, Thomas, as you say, it's especially in crypto, it's a dog-eat-dog world. Everybody's the killer of someone else. To be quite honest with you, technically, I don't know too much about Aptos. It's this really new blockchain. I think what stands out for me the most from this project is its team. It's mostly old Facebook people, so Meta now, that were working. If you guys remember, a couple of years ago, they were working on their DM project that was supposed to be the Facebook-owned blockchain and a way to transfer money in a decentralized way, where they created Aptos out of it. So let's see where it goes. They have this own programming language called Move, and we're going to see where this project will move indeed in the future.
Always good to have a new, more recent token to see how they will perform. All right, so this is it for the layer 1 category. The next one is a layer 2 with a very famous token that everyone knows, which is Matic. Okay, Matic is quite interesting because recently the team announced the Polygon V2 with the new, let's say, rebranding and new utilities for the Matic token that will be called the Pol token.
Yeah, Thomas, I remember Matic. I think it was the very first Binance launchpad back in the day I entered. And I was really skeptic about what this project was. And they pivoted quite a lot. As you guys remember, they weren't always called Matic at the beginning, which is why, so Polygon at the beginning, which is why the token is still called Matic or Matic, depending who you ask how to pronounce it. But in terms of layer 2s, in my opinion, at least, it might be the most recognized Ethereum layer 2 and the most used. The great partnerships as well, and definitely by far one of the most promising projects out there. And you saw it in the performance of the last bull run, I think. And please don't hold me accountable for it, I'm not sure, but it was definitely one of the best performing layer 2 blockchains over the last bull run. So let's see where it goes in the future, but everything looks promising for Matic.
Yeah, and we should probably all thank the Matic team because they've been onboarding a lot of Web2 companies into Web3, like Starbucks with their loyalty program built on Matic, on Polygon. So yeah, it's good for mass adoption. Next token is Arbitrum. So Arbitrum was, everybody was talking a lot about it during the famous airdrop. Recently, Arbitrum announced the second occurrence of the Odyssey, which was the first questing system that led to the airdrop. So who knows, maybe the future of second airdrop will be happening. I'm not sure, but probably this chain will see a lot of activity in the coming few weeks.
Yeah, Thomas, Arbitrum, I mean, you said Arbitrum is the Odyssey and Odyssey is the Arbitrum. Like even let's say SwissBorg took inspiration from Arbitrum in the Odyssey when we did that quest for the very first time. So it's a very cool project. I think it's interesting to understand for those listening and who might be aware the difference in terms of rollups. So similar to Matic that we just said before, Arbitrum is a layer 2 on top of Ethereum. We call it a rollup, and there's 2 different types of rollups really. There's the optimistic rollups, which Arbitrum is part of, and there's the zero knowledge rollups, which Arbitrum is not part of. It's just different ways of reaching consensus. Optimistic rollups play more on the game theory kind of things, whereas zero knowledge are a bit more technical, and we're not going to have time to get into it now. But I think, and we have to check the latest stats, but Arbitrum might be the dominant or the leading optimistic rollup of the moment. So definitely very excited to have it on the list and see where this can take us in the next bull market.
Yeah, as you said, it's good that you are like this because at the end of the day, blockchain is very technical and it's not so always easy to understand what is underlying technology. And the next token also is an optimistic rollup, and it's Optimism. Optimism, I think it's kind of cool because they've been building the op stack that other projects can use to create their own blockchain. And recently, 2 very famous projects use that, which is Binance with the Op BNB chain, which would be a layer 2 for the BNB smart chain, and also the very famous these days Base chain from Coinbase.
Yeah, not much to add to that, Thomas. I think it's a really good explanation. As the name implies, and as you said, it is also an optimistic rollup. It's probably the biggest competitor of Arbitrum. Either way, both rollups, they have the same finality. They want to boost, the transaction speeds and the amount of transaction you can put through the network of Ethereum, and that's what they achieve to do. I don't know which one's going to win, if there's a winner to begin with, but definitely Optimism and Arbitrum are the 2 leading optimistic rollups on Ethereum.
So this is it. It was 11 tokens that have been identified by the SwissBorg Investment team. And remember, they use the combination of quantitative and qualitative analysis, fundamental analysis, to identify these highly promising 11 tokens.
Thank you, Thomas. And maybe this is my moment where I can explain why we're doing this. So as you know, 2 days ago, we launched the Best Blockchain Thematic. And when we did this exercise of indeed trying to find the best blockchains, we understood that, who are we to call them the best blockchains? So we went on a month-long endeavor to really go in depth on each one of those projects and make sure that we understand exactly the inherent strength and qualities, so that we are confident that we are positioning you and the thematic right for the next bull market. And the thematic, the really cool thing about it is that, it's, if you consider that blockchains are the base of crypto, the way we wanted to design the thematic is that it's the base of any crypto portfolio. Is if you invest in crypto to begin with, this is where you start, because you're going to invest in the underlying assets that power the whole crypto ecosystem. And the beautiful thing about the thematic is that as new projects come in, other ones lose relevancy, the thematic will automatically update them. And this will now happen almost on a monthly basis. And I'm sure that if we do this again next year, we'll see how different the list might be in a year's time than it is today. And, even for me, I work in crypto, and for me, it's impossible to keep up with all the new projects that are coming up. So having something like the thematic is so useful. So guys, if you have the chance, go check the thematic out. It's live on the SwissBorg app right now, available for you. And on to the next section, Thomas.
Definitely, thematics, the best blockchain thematics will be an interesting product for the next bull run, I believe. All right, for this last part, I'm joined by Benji.
Hello, everyone. I'm super hyped to be here. We're going to be looking at your best top votes for the best blockchain survey. We sent something out about a week ago, and more than 1,800 of you have answered your favorite blockchains. From layer 0 to layer 1 to layer 2, and we're going to be looking at the results right now. So should we dive into the layer 0 top choices?
Let's go for it. So layer 0, in third position, we had Avalanche with 16, followed by Polkadot at 41%, and then Cosmos with 33%. Benji, what did you vote for this layer 0 category?
Well, I voted for Avalanche. I've just had a better experience with their apps and dApps. And for example, when we listed the Trader Joe token, I used Trader Joe to try and bridge from Arbitrum and to really try and buy NFTs and discover Avalanche. And I thought it was super seamless, super easy to use. And I've had quite a different experience with Cosmos, where it was quite complicated. I tried staking. I had to choose a delegator, and it was just a little bit less beginner friendly. So that's why I went for Avalanche. I think it has more mass adoption potential just because it's so easy to move around and to interact with. What did you choose?
Yeah, I've chosen Cosmos because I kind of agree with you that maybe Avalanche is more user-friendly, but I guess it's mostly due to the fact that it's EVM compatible. Whereas with Cosmos, you need to set up a new wallet. But I really like the Kepler wallet. I think it's quite straightforward to use. And with Polkadot, yeah, I guess maybe it's more for institution, let's say, because they will build project on top of the Polkadot ecosystem. But yeah, I think with Gavin Wood as a founder, it makes sense that there are a lot of people that voted for this Polkadot blockchain.
It's interesting to see Avalanche so low compared to the others, but we'll see what the next layers have to offer. I think we might have some more surprises to come.
Layer 1, we have in third, Solana, 11%, followed by, Bitcoin, 37%, and we've got Ethereum with 47%. What did you vote for, Benji, in this one?
For this one, I went for Solana, but I was torn. It could have been Ethereum as well. I really like both of these chains. I was feeling sad for Solana for being at 11%, but then, compared to Bitcoin and Ethereum, for sure, the two juggernauts of crypto were going to take on most of the votes. That was a certainty just for their awareness. Solana is a little bit less famous, but it might have a little bit more upside potential. I voted for them because I was actually very pleasantly surprised by my experience on their chain. I tried buying an NFT. It went super quickly. I did some bids. It didn't really cost me anything, or a couple of cents only. And everything was really seamless. So I think the only downside for me was that they weren't in MetaMask. So I had to have an extra wallet to do everything that I wanted. but that's, to be fair, a small downside. And Ethereum, I generally interact a lot with, and I like that chain a lot. But I mean, the scalability is probably a little bit of an issue. And in the bull run, I don't want to be seeing the $100 transaction fee transactions again, because that did happen. It did happen to me, and it was kind of normal. I don't think it should be normal. So yeah, what did you vote for?
Yeah. I think a lot of people got PTSD from the Ethereum gas fees from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
No, I voted for ETH as well because, yeah, I think it's, at least right now, it's still like the biggest ecosystem with most of the activity, most of the users. And probably Solana has a bit more potential in terms of price action. I really love the community also on Solana. It's super active and people kept faith even during the peak of the FTX crash. I feel a bit sad for Near and Aptos. Okay, Aptos, it's super new, so it's not super a surprise that maybe less people know about it. Near, I had a good experience with it, to be honest. Like, I found super easy to use, super low fee, super fast transaction execution. So yeah, I still think Near is a good project. But
Maybe
when you compare with
exactly.
When you compare with Ethereum and Bitcoin, it's a tough fight always.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't in the easiest layer to be a winner in. Bitcoin and Ethereum are two juggernauts, and now layer 2.
So we've got Up in the third place with 6%, followed by Arbitrum, 12%. Okay, interesting. And then, oh wow, Matic, number 1.
I voted Matic. Transparently, it's to me the chain I've interacted the most with, and I've had the best experience with. It's also the longest running. So they've been created in 2017, I believe, and they started ERC20, but then they built their own chain. And with that chain, I've had zero problems. And they even have their own NFTs on OpenSea, for example, that you can trade on Matic chain, and you can switch from USDC to Polygon to any other token that you want that's on their chain for almost nothing and almost instantly. It's a bit more expensive than other chains. I think some people posted like they did 20,000 transactions on Solana. Obviously, this would have been expensive on Matic and even more so on Ethereum. But overall, I think that they right now have the strongest value proposition. And you?
Yeah, I voted for Matic because I've been quite impressed with the extensive roadmap they presented a few months ago, with like the zero knowledge blockchain, all the chains they are building, and also the new token. That's the Pulse token. I think it's interesting. And they are the OGs, so I guess it's not a surprise that most people know more about Matic compared to the Arbitrum and Optimism. They have maybe a bit more the same value proposition as well, and they've been released during more recently during the bear market. So it makes sense that maybe less people are aware of it.
Yeah. And they're mainly famous for their airdrops that they did at launch, where I was eligible to the Arbitrum one, but I wasn't for Optimism. I feel like a lot of people were maybe both, if they're airdrop hunters, or just one of the two. But that's definitely something that helped them gain popularity. But I don't know how strong that makes them as a token. So maybe you just receive the airdrop, sell it, and then you don't know what they're building. And that's probably where I'm sitting. I don't really know what they're building and how they're going to be different and how they're going to perform in the next bull market. But it's definitely going to be interesting to see.
Exactly. All right. Thank you, guys, for your votes. And now let's jump back at the last section of the Best Blockchain Awards.
All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far into the program, go have a look at our Best Blockchain Thematic that's now available in the SwissBorg app. Everything you learn in this program and much more is built in that product. And for us, it's definitely the best way to prepare yourself for the next bull run. Right now in the SwissBorg app, go check it out. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. See you soon.